So here's the game that I've been working on right now, and so I'm just going to quickly go and review what all has been done. This is more of a vlog kind of a thing, wherein I'm able to record as to what all has been done with the game for now. And yes, some of these things are very experimental over here. So it shows tree weird. So obviously, this is a weird tree that I put in here. And those who are not familiar with the game engine that I am using, this is Unity. So it is Unity 3D, the 2019 version. It shows up here Unity 2019.2.17, and it's the free version, the personal version. It's not the enterprise. Enterprise would have a dark scheme, the dark skin, so to say. And then there are other things which are there. So here is a coin object uh, which is not being used actively in the game. It is just there, hanging around for maybe something to happen later on. And so I'm going to step through all of these controllers that I have over here. So these controllers are basically the characters or things that you bring into the scene. So this is a third person controller which comes as part of the standard assets, and how to get these standard assets is by going here and incorporating things. So, and of course you go and download those from the asset store. And now this third person controller, I've got two of these over here, and they are right now being controlled in the same manner as the car. So what is basically happening right now is that there is no AI controlled third person controller or AI controlled cars in the game. So it is the keyboard control, the same controls which are controlling the main character, so to say, which is the car one, or this car, is also controlling the other car, and also both of these game objects. So what necessarily happens is that when you go into game mode, it looks okay, that it seems like one car is chasing the other car, or something to that effect is happening. But actually, somewhere in the middle, now I'll mute this audio. Now somewhere in the middle, what is happening is that this handover is not very smooth. So let's say I'll first disable the mobile input, because I'm recording this on the PC, and get out of game mode. Mobile input disabled. Get back into game mode. Yeah, so it doesn't get disabled till I yeah. So now as you see, I'm using the keyboard, and once I move this one particular car, uh, these these figures which are there, the Ethan figures, these also move along with those cars, and there is no separate controls right now. So logically, obviously, once a player is playing, you will have to have some kind of UI interface to choose, wherein you choose that I want to control the player, or maybe I want to choose some other car. All that intelligence has not been built in. So this is just basically right now a very basic terrain which has been done up with. So that is one. The other thing is, let's say we were to go ahead and try and knock our car into one of these trees. That won't happen, and you'll see that it has while in this particular view it might seem like it has gone and banged into that tree. It doesn't necessarily go right next to the tree, because and we can change the camera again, see that it's maintaining its own distance. The reason it's doing that is because this tree has got a specific collider which is there. So let's go and look at that collider. So let's first go and select this tree, and it's got a box collider which is there, and this box collider has got a certain size. So if that size were to get reduced, then the car would penetrate further. It would go right up to the tree's main trunk and maybe go and stop very close to it. And let's try and see that. So I go and reduce this size to 1. The height remains the same, and then maybe the effect changes, or it is probably not very noticeable, but that's the way it's supposed to be done. Let's say I go back here in reverse, and yeah, so this is more of a collision the way we are. And also you might notice that on that little branch which is there, on that branch which is protruding outside the tree on the right, it has gone and just basically passed through that one. So it did pass through, but on the main trunk it is getting stuck. Why? Because we have reduced the size of the collider. Over here it's, now if we change the view of the rig, we see that it's gone through that, or that one's actually sticking out of the bonnet. So just as an experimental thing, that's okay, but if it were in actual gameplay, obviously that would not be correct. And so let me again increase this size. Let me take it back to say something like it goes back to 10. You can see that it has changed, the size has changed over here. So there is this three-dimensional bounding box which has been created around it, which has increased in size. And if I were to change it further, let's say I were to go to 20, then obviously there's a larger collider which is there. And if I were to keep it like this, if I were to for some reason just experiment with it and keep it like this and then play the game, the car is unable to move properly. Actually, the car has vanished only, it seems. Yeah, it's not very happy with that situation. It's gone underground. Why it has gone underground, I'm not very sure. Let me fix that. Because we didn't change anything on the car, we just changed the collider. Yeah, now it's back. It seems that taking that collider to that particular size removes the car from the scene, because in the basic transform, which is their position is almost overlapping. The position minus 10.3, this is what we are looking at the tree. And let's look at the car 1. So here is the car 1. Yeah, so that position overlaps, and that's the reason. If I increase the size of the collider, it makes my car vanish, which is obviously not a desired effect. Now, what other things do we have? We have colliders on the car. We could look at the colliders on the car. So these colliders are a child object of this car class over here. Let's look at the UI. The UI is quite interesting. So there is a level reset which is there. So this comes by default. So this is built in within the standard assets scene, and there is a camera switch also which is there. So most other things that we would want to create as part of the UI will get embedded under this particular UI object which is there. And we can see that this is a canvas also which is embedded here, and there are other components which can be added. Now let's look at the terrain, because the terrain is something which I need to work on now. The terrain bit is here, so this is where I get to see the terrain. no, it's gone out of focus. Another way of just fixing that is focus on something which is, yeah, so this is the terrain. And now earlier versions of Unity had a much more elaborate menu over here. Now some of those things have gotten clubbed into this paint terrain over here, and now we can use this drop down to choose as to what we want. We can paint the texture, we can raise or lower the terrain, set height, smooth height. So the paint texture is what I am interested in right now. So what we can do is go ahead and paint some trees over here, and as you can see, this one's I need to zoom out and also fix this view of mine. So this view is not, this is, the gizmo is not showing